How old are you?
37.
Do you have any children?
I do.
How old?
I have 5 children, 21, 18, 15. Johnny is 12 and 11.
Okay. What are they into?
21-year-old is into his friends. 18-year-old, he got a girlfriend, so girlfriend, school, and working. My daughter, she's 15. She likes TikToks, so TikToking. My 12-year-old, he liked Apple, so he liked, with the iPhones, he'll break them, refix them, unlock stuff. And then my 11-year-old, he liked gaming, so.
And are you in school right now?
I am.
What are you studying?
Business and management. Right now I'm doing accountants.
Do you like it?
It's stressful, but yeah, it's stressful.
Where do you live?
Over north. You want my direct address? Or
We don't need the exact address.
Yeah. How long have you lived in Minnesota?
All my life.
Do you have family here?
I do.
Do you have siblings in Minnesota?
I do.
What are their names?
Sharita, Marvina, Cynthia, Marvin.
Thanks. Is Marvin your older or younger brother?
He's my younger brother.
Is Marvin, your younger brother, the petitioner in this matter?
Yes.
When was the last time you saw Marvin?
A long time. It's been like over 10 years, 12 years maybe.
So I want to take you back to the day of the incident on May 16th, 2004.
Okay.
How old were you on May of 2004?
Like 19.
Okay. May 16th was the day of the shooting of Harry Sherer. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
This day was about 20 years ago, so how do you remember it so well?
Because that's the day that changed our life.
Do you remember how you came to learn about the crime?
Yes.
How?
With us getting raided.
Okay. Let's go back to that day, May 16th. Do you remember where you were living then?
Yes.
Who was living with you?
It was me, Sharita, Cynthia, Marvin, my mom.
And where was that house?
It was on 33rd and Russell.
Okay. So May 16th was on a Sunday. What was a typical Sunday morning like for you in 2004?
Rita and, well, we call her Rita and Cece. Them going to church, me getting up, getting my 3-year-old ready, or fixing them breakfast. It's just a regular Sunday.
Do you know whether anyone in your family went to church that morning?
Yes.
Who?
Rita and Cece. Well, Cynthia and Sharita.
Thank you. How do you know?
I was there. I was woke when they was leaving.
Okay, so you saw Cynthia and Sharita that morning.
Yes.
Was there anyone else that you saw that morning in the house?
Marvina came over and was banging on the door.
Okay. What happened when Marvina came over?
She went in the back and started arguing with Marvin.
Okay. What were they arguing about?
Some shoes. They was arguing about some shoes. Well, she was arguing with him about shoes.
So was Marvin in the house at this time?
Yes.
Okay. I want to take a step back and ask you, how would you describe the way your brother spoke when he was 16 years old?
Like, he'll talk like, what up, though? Or, what that for? He wasn't ever talking like in complete sentence. It wasn't.
If we were back in 2004 and someone were to describe a person as speaking with clarity and as if he had an education, would you understand that person to be describing your brother?
No.
Okay. So now back to this argument. After the argument was over, did Marvina stay?
No.
Do you know what Marvin did when Marvina left?
Went back to sleep.
Would you have known if Marvin left after Marvina?
Yes.
Why?
Because the house was small. So you can hear any door that was open. You can hear anything.
So you could hear both doors open?
Yes.
Could you see both doors?
Yes,
Was there 2 doors to get into the house?
it was.
Okay. Ms. Haynes, do you remember signing an affidavit in this manner?
I do.
And in the affidavit, you stated that your mother lived with you. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Does your mother still live with you?
Not at the time.
Why is that?
She had 2 more strokes
Where is she living?
in a nursing home.
How do you communicate with your mother?
You just kind of talk to her, but she don't talk back. All she say is boy, boy.
Okay. So Marvin was arrested on May 19th, 2004, 3 days after the shooting. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
What do you remember about that day?
He had court and he went down for like a traffic warrant, and then later on that day my mom was looking for him, trying to find out where he was at. Couldn't find him.
Okay. What do you remember? Do you remember that the police came to your home that day?
Yes.
What do you remember from that?
They was coming in and they was raiding. They was tearing up the house.
Did they come in the morning or the nighttime?
At nighttime.
What was the scene like? Could you describe it for me?
Yeah, it was chaos. They came in, they was tearing up the house, they was looking for any clothing. It was scary. They was just tearing up everything. They was upstairs, it was all in the front room. We were asking them, like, what are you doing here? What are you looking for? They wouldn't talk to us. They just was just tearing up, taking everybody's clothes.
Do you remember ever being interviewed formally by the police in this case?
I don't recall.
Do you remember speaking to the police on May 19th?
I don't recall.
Do you remember ever speaking to the police for this investigation?
I don't recall.
Okay. No further questions.
Any questions from the state?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Haynes.
Good morning.
So I just want to talk through a little bit of the testimony that you've given so far and ask some additional questions. So you testified that in May of 2004 you were living with your mom
Yes.
and your brother and a couple of your sisters, is that correct?
Yes.
But Marvina did not live with you at the time, is that correct?
Right.
And specifically turning to May 16th, 2004, you testified that that was a pretty regular Sunday, is that correct?
Yes.
But you recall Marvina coming over that morning?
She did.
And did you testify that Marvina and your brother had an argument, or Marvina was talking to your brother at some point?
Yes.
Where did that occur?
In the house.
Where in the house?
I remember. I remember them arguing, like, thinking of that. I don't really recall, but I know they was arguing.
Was your brother asleep before Marvina came over?
He was.
Where was he sleeping?
I don't recall.
And then did Marvina leave at some point?
She did.
And where was your brother then?
He went back to sleep. I don't recall.
Went back to sleep in the house?
He went back to sleep somewhere in the house.
You don't recall where?
Right.
Was your mother home that day?
She was.
And you did not not go to church that day, is that correct?
Right.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit and just, you testified a little bit about how your brother spoke back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it sounds like, and from your affidavit, that he used some slang and kind of spoke informally. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Even if that's true, was he capable of speaking in kind of a clear fashion if he needed to?
No.
Would you say that your brother was ever courteous to anyone?
What do you mean?
Did you ever observe him to be courteous?
Do you explain that?
To be polite?
To be nice to people?
Yeah.
Like, as far as what? Like, if I'm helping somebody pick up groceries?
Sure.
Yeah.
Now moving to May 19th. So that was the day that your brother was arrested and also that the police came and searched your house, correct?
Yes.
And you remember the police coming to your house?
Yes.
And so you were there?
Yes.
You testified that you don't recall speaking to the police at any time, is that correct?
Correct.
So, but you do recall being there when the police were in your house?
Yes.
Do you recall an officer asking you if you had seen your brother on May 16th?
I don't recall.
And it is, 19 and a half years ago, or years later, so it would make sense that you may not recall. And so you don't remember having any conversation during the execution of the search warrant with any officer?
I don't recall.
Do you recall any of your family members having a conversation?
No.
Did you know that search warrant was recorded by the police?
What do you mean?
When the police were in your home, they were recording audio of what transpired in the home at that time?
No.
And did you know that a transcript of that conversation was made?
Yeah, I'm going to object to that. That's not in evidence, I don't believe.
Okay, I'm going to overrule the objection. Right now it's just a question. Are you aware if there was ever a transcript of any kind of recording of the search?
No.
Would seeing that transcript or being read that transcript, would that possibly help refresh your recollection of what happened on that day?
No.
It wouldn't help refresh your recollection?
You can try. I don't know if it would or wouldn't.
May I have a moment to discuss?
Sure. We'll go off the record. And folks, please make sure all phones are turned off and put away and back, please. Thank you.
Judge, may we approach briefly?
The witness or me? Sure. right, folks, we're going to take a short break. It's 11:35. We're going to take a break until 11:50, so 15-minute break here, but we will be back before lunch. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you just to step into the jury room with both sets of attorneys so they can review some information with you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we'll go ahead back on the record. Ms. Haynes, we took a break so all four attorneys could meet with you in the jury room just to go over some information to see if it might refresh your recollection. I'll remind you that you are still under oath, and I'm going to turn the questioning back over to counsel. Ms. Light?
Thank you. So, as the judge just explained, and before we took our break, I had indicated to you that I asked you whether you knew that the police were recording via audio during the execution of the search warrant in your home, and not that you said that you weren't aware of that, correct?
Right.
And so we took a break and went into that back room, and we went over a transcript of that audio recording, correct?
Correct.
And I asked you if that refreshed your recollection at all as to whether you talked to any officers at that time, correct?
Correct.
And you indicated that it did not refresh your recollection, is that correct?
Correct.
And so you still do not remember speaking with the police on that date?
Correct.
No further questions.
Okay, any follow-up?
Just a few, Your Honor. Ms. Haynes, when the police were at your mother's house, did you know why they were there?
No.
And at some point after you learned why the police were there, and you testified that it was a chaotic scene, did you take the time to think through and really recall what happened on May 16th?
Can you explain that?
At some point after the police left, did you take time to sit and think through what happened on May 16th?
Yes.
And after you heard about your brother's arrest, did that cause you to think about the events of May 16th?
Yes.
Is everything you told the court today truthful?
Yes.
All right, no further questions.
Anything else for the state?
Just one moment. Nothing further, thank you.
All right. Ms. Haynes, you can step down. You're free to go or stay in the courtroom. I would just note there's a couple steps there, so be careful.
Thank you.
And